gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend. You'll see him tonight debuting on ESPN with the crew. My brother, the one and only Kenny the Jet Smith. What's up, Big Time? How are you, man?
Man, that got me excited. Debuting. I haven't debuted on a network in I don't know how long. To say that we're debuting on ESPN tonight, man. That got my blood flowing, man.
Damn right. It's well earned, and we're happy, we're ecstatic to have you, man. You saw the games. Let's get right into it. You saw the games last night. Let's start out with what you saw from the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. Did you see a title contender on either side?
Well, for sure. We can't judge the Lakers without LeBron because LeBron is a playoff guy. He's probably going to be able to rest a lot more with a Luka Doncic, obviously, in the lineup. He could take the time that he needs to get back. He might have played last year at this time if there was no Luka, so his ability to rest a little bit more because, obviously last year with Anthony Davis was sitting out. So you couldn't have two guys sitting out. So Luka playing is going to give him they're title contenders, both of those teams. We know at Golden State, Jonathan Kuminga has been there as the question mark all the time. And if he plays well, they become a threat. They become a threat.
Kenny, do you worry about the Lakers defense? Like, I know Bron and Luka being in shape is a differentiator, right? Because both those guys are just special. But maybe some of the defensive challenges personnel-wise for the Lakers, is that of any concern for you throughout the course of the season?
Well, I think the one thing that, even when Luka went to the finals in Dallas, you say around him was really lively, defensive-minded players that can really, protect the rim. That's where I would say for the Lakers is, do they have a rim protector? Because at times they at least last year they played LeBron at the 5. And so now you become such a small lineup and you don't have a rim protector. So you can give up threes, but I don't think you can give up threes and layups. You have to be able to, the one thing about the NBA, they say you have to be able to shoot the three. To me, you have to be able to defend it if you want to play. So, is Ayton going to be a rim protector and not just an offensive threat? That's going to be the difference.
Kenny, I was very impressed with Oklahoma City last night. You could come out flat on that kind of evening. Their second-best player is not in the game. They're down the whole way. SGA makes big shots late after Durant missed a free throw. Then he makes 2 free throws to win. And you know better than anybody, when you get the one title, sometimes it's a little easier to get the second one. Rockets are a good example of that. When you won the first one, you won the second one when you brought Drexler in. Sometimes you get the one, the pressure's off, you know how to do it. You get the second one pretty easy. OKC, to me, is by far the favorite in the NBA this year. What's your take with that?
Yeah, I've had 2 opening nights where, we won rings and have ring nights. So I know what you're talking about. It is a difficult night to do. But, I never judged opening night as our night because it takes you off, as Jay can tell you, like, being a basketball player is 100% about routine. What is your routine? And your routine is just thrown off totally. You get sleep on the same time, you warm up at the same time, and all of a sudden you get a ring night thrown in there, which is great, but it throws you off. But they played well last year, guys, without, people in the lineup. That's not, as long as the MVP of the league, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he controls the pace of the game, and he allows anyone who comes in to play at that pace and play great. So for me, it's all about if he's playing and how many games he's playing.
Kenny, I look at Oklahoma City, and there's really no intrigue there. They're the reigning defending champions. We know who they are. We know what they're going to be. We know how formidable they are and what you're going to have to deal with going up against Shea Butter and those boys. Houston, I find very intriguing. You needed a number 1 option. You went out and you got one in Kevin Durant. I saw Fred VanVleet go down, and I said, damn, Houston's going to be compromised. But then I saw Ime Udoka start 4 dudes 6'11" last night. And I'm looking at their size, their ability to defend, what you just said about not making the 3 but being able to go and defend the 3, which we know they can do. I'm wondering what your thoughts are about a team that you helped, a franchise that you helped capture back-to-back NBA titles in the 90s. What are your thoughts about this Houston Rockets team and how much of a threat they can truly end up being in the Western Conference?
For me, if Fred VanVleet is there, if he was there, they would be the odds-on rival to Oklahoma City because they would have experience, they would have depth, they would have size. The one thing of having that great big lineup, at certain times you might have to go small. And who is going to be your small lineup? When you have VanVleet in the game, you could create a small lineup, and you could actually put Kevin Durant at the 4. But without him, you're a little one-dimensional. That's the only thing that makes me nervous about Houston is now that they have to play big. And before, you want to play small. We got our smallest athlete more athletic, and they can be taller than you and bigger than you. Do we have to play big? Oh, our big is actually faster, more athletic than yours. Now they become a little more one-dimensional. So now that, to me, is the only, I would say, negative. But when you put Kevin Durant on any basketball team, immediately they become right into the mix of contenders when you put them on.
Anybody except Houston, but I get what you're saying. Kenny the Jet Queen's in the building. I got to ask you this. Am I off my rocker by saying if Kyrie is healthy, if Anthony Davis is healthy, I know that's a big if.
No.
But
no, you're
if
not.
they're healthy, that they could win the chip, the Dallas Mavericks? They could win it all?
I mean, Kyrie Irving, that's the big if. You know, I mean, he's coming back from a major surgery and a major injury. But on paper, if you just put those, 5, 7 guys that you're talking about on paper, you go, who's better?
All right, the late game last night, we got to talk a little bit about Warriors-Lakers. Big win for Golden State, 119-109. Curry with 23. Jimmy with 31. Kuminga had 17 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. We'll get to that. Luka with his 43. Luka. They looked like a team that's played together quite a bit. People got their open looks. They seemed really gelling. I'm wondering, though, do you think it was like a quiet night by the standards of one Stephen Curry, Lou?
Yeah, it was a quiet night, but I think that's the reason why this team is built the way that it's built. You know, we talked about how old this team was, but what we forgot to mention is all of these older guys are high IQ basketball players. They know how to play the game. They approach the game very intentional. They know what they're trying to get out of it. They know how to manipulate scenarios to go in their favor. So even on nights that Stephen Curry, only on 14 attempts, is having a slow night that we would call it, you got a guy like Jimmy Butler that's going to stand in the gap of that and get you over the hump. I think Al Horford made a pretty decent debut in his return. Buddy Hield played well. Draymond Green was Draymond Green. He was the anchor on the offense and the defensive end, making sure those guys were getting looks. And so when you have that type of team, it's going to give you an opportunity to win a lot of basketball games. So I thought they looked good last night.
Yeah, there wasn't like that kind of first date feel-out process for the Warriors. Like, this looked like a team that had played together before. They had the chemistry, they had the continuity. It's the same kind of offense, same structure that they've had for years. And they just, when their offense gets going, man, it is something to watch. It's beautiful. It's constant movement. It's coming off screens. It's whoever's got a good shot. So the guy next to me has a better shot and swing, we're going to give it to him. And they have guys that know their role. Buddy Hield, he knows his role. Pods knows his role. When Steph was struggling earlier, it was a heavy dose of Jimmy Butler to get them kind of going early, and he was aggressive with 31, 5, and 4. That's exactly what we need to see. And again, their negative is their age. Can they stay healthy? But that also, like Lou said, that could be a good thing. That could be, they know how to play basketball. They play smart. They know angles. They know that they are an experienced group that knows how to win, and they're well coached. So they looked really good. They looked really, really good last night. Kuminga, I'm happy for him. Yes. Everything he went for last year, all that, he gets a little payday. Even the rumors this summer, he didn't go to the camps, he still, whatever. He played like a professional last night, and he played really, really good, and he showed why he got that contract.
Couldn't agree more. Obviously, you know what Steph brings to the game. He's done it time and time again. Same goes with Jimmy, but the guy that stood out the most for me was Kuminga, the young fella. Like you said, he went through a lot this past summer, just trying to figure out his future, negotiating his deal, and he came out and he played, man. He was the bright spot for me on the floor last night, hitting the corner threes, the way he cut to the basket, just moving without the ball, doing all the small things, even him defensively. It was a couple soft calls on the defensive end, but he just kept played with a smile on his face, and he competed. So I loved everything about it. He guarded the best player on the floor for most of the night. So it was a great showing for the young fella. So
you wouldn't be Boogie if you didn't find a way to jab a referee.
Yeah, you know, it's a love-hate. Hate.
Is it a love-hate? Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think there's got
It's
to love.
What they do, too, is they all just know that, like, the rookie from Florida, Will Richard, he comes in the game last night, he just plays hard. Quentin Post last year had some success. Like, they just find these guys to plug and play within their system, and it just works.
Yeah, Kuminga was 4 of 6 from 3, tied his career high in that category. Look, here's the thing, Chandler. I don't want to get. I feel like Charlie Brown, the football and all that. I was like, okay, we got to see Kuminga. Everybody got to see he can be really great. He was the second most important guy on the team last night. Blah blah blah. And then 3 games from now, all of a sudden, he's going to be on the bench again. Like, how do we sort of temper what's about to happen?
I just think more games like this kind of it results in more trust from Steve Kerr. I think this is a great confidence boost to show that he's bought in. He can play within the system. Little things has always been his issue. It's remembering plays. It's taking good shots. It's taking care of the ball. It's never been anything about talent or he always plays hard. He's super athletic. So I think it's been more of a fit situation with him and just kind of knowing the playbook, knowing the sets, knowing when to find Steph, knowing when to set the screen, when to slip. Those are all stuff I think he struggled with early, but as the season will go on, I think he'll continue to get better. These guys are a great vet group that can make the game easier for him as well. And like we talked about yesterday, he's kind of the guy going forward. He is that all-star level player post Draymond, post Steph, like post these guys. So this is a great kind of nurturing process for him to continue to develop and kind of take over this young core, because this team's not going to be together forever. But I think this was a great night one. It's a great start to kind of put last year to bed, and hopefully he continues to gain more trust from Kerr and continues to, further his role.
You spoke on it right there, just gaining trust from Kerr. I think that should be his #1 goal this season, and I think everything else will fall into place. I think that's the riff in the room, just getting on the same page with Kerr, gaining his trust every night, going out and show that you can be a consistent player on both ends of the floor, playing the flow of the game, get the stars the ball when you need to, and make shots when you need to. And I think he did a great job of that last night. Now he just has to continue to do that, and I think he'll be a vital part of this team.
I do want to go back to one specific aspect of what Jimmy Butler did last night. He was 16 of 16 from the free throw line. We get to bring up the word downhill again. But on a night when we also had SGA in that first game, Lou, the value of having a guy that can do what Jimmy does, get downhill, draw those fouls, like how big is that for a team? Hey, I nailed it.
No, it's huge because it just gives you a chance, even if your offense is struggling or even when your best player is struggling, you have a guy that can put points on the board without even working hard. You can give him the ball in that mid post or at the free throw line extended, and he's going to use his body. He's going to use his physicality. Like right here, he knows Gabe Vincent can't get up with him right there. He's going to be a spot shooter. That hasn't been one of his strengths, but that looked like something that he's worked on. But we right back in the post, though. We right back business, right back to where we started with Gabe Vincent, constantly putting pressure on that rim. And it's tough, especially if a guy can score 5 to 8 feet away from the basket, get layups and get dunks. Any team that's guarding you from that close to the rim is going to be a problem. And Jimmy Butler has done that more consistently than anybody that we've seen in a long time.
And I've said that before when they added Jimmy to the team last year. I spoke on how it was similar to the Kevin Durant situation as far as having that mid-range threat. Jimmy brings that to the team. Obviously, he's not the same level of an offensive threat as Kevin Durant, but he still brings that dynamic to them as far as having a mid-range threat and also having a guy that can get you to the line, get teams in foul trouble. And he went to the line 16 times last night, so that's going to be a huge help for them throughout the stretch of the season.
And free throw shooting keeps you steady.
It's starting to feel like the NBA world just can't stop talking about the Golden State Warriors. Every time this team takes the floor, every time Steph Curry hits another ridiculous three, the media finds a way to drag the conversation toward the next big hypothetical. And this week, it's Colin Cowherd lighting the fuse. On The Herd, Cowherd dropped a take that has everyone buzzing. He says the Warriors should trade Jimmy Butler, Jonathan Kuminga, and 4 first-round picks to go after Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah, you heard that right. Send Butler and Kuminga to Milwaukee and bring the Greek Freak to the Bay. Now let's unpack that. Cowherd's logic was clear. He believes the current Warriors core, with a 37-year-old Steph Curry, 35-year-old Draymond Green, and a 36-year-old Jimmy Butler, can't compete long-term in the loaded Western Conference. He called Jimmy Butler a fling, not a phase, saying it's time to move on. But here's the thing. Cowherd is underestimating what's actually happening inside that Warriors locker room. Because while national analysts see age, fatigue, and timelines that don't match, what we're watching on the floor is something very different, a new chapter of the dynasty starting to take shape. Let's talk about Jonathan Kuminga first. The kid was electric on opening night. In that 119-109 win over the Lakers, he showed exactly why the organization refused to give up on him. He posted 17 points, 6 assists, and 9 rebounds. And one of those rebounds had the entire bench and Draymond Green up on their feet. Draymond said after the game, "That rebound is what everyone's been waiting to see. You have that athleticism, you go make big plays. You have superstar potential, you go make big plays." That's not just encouragement. That's a veteran passing the torch. And that's the real story Cowherd missed. Kuminga isn't some trade filler. He's a 23-year-old force who's finally putting it all together. Elite athleticism, improved decision-making, and the kind of two-way presence the Warriors have been craving since their championship core got older. He's not a complementary piece anymore. He's the bridge between the old dynasty and the next one. Now, let's talk about Jimmy Butler. Calling him a fling is just lazy analysis. What he's brought to Golden State since arriving from Miami goes far beyond the box score. His intensity, his leadership, and his work ethic have reinvigorated this team. Remember, before Butler arrived, the Warriors were struggling to find rhythm. After the trade, they finished the season 27-8 when Curry, Butler, and Draymond were all healthy and on the floor together. That's not a coincidence. That's chemistry. That's balance. That's championship DNA clicking again. Butler's presence allows Curry to breathe. He takes the toughest defensive assignments, creates his own shot, and sets the tone physically. That's the kind of player who turns playoff battles into statements. The idea that Steve Kerr and the front office would just move off that for a massive gamble, mortgaging the future, depth, and identity, doesn't match the Warriors' reality. This isn't 2020. This isn't a team searching for a direction. This is a team refining its next evolution. And if we're being real, do you really think Giannis Antetokounmpo wants to leave Milwaukee just yet? Sure, there's tension. The Bucks have fallen short in 3 straight postseasons, and Giannis has hinted at exploring new options if they don't become a true contender again. But right now, the Bucks are reloading, not rebuilding, and the Warriors aren't desperate. They're dangerous. In fact, the vibe around the Bay right now is confidence. Curry's conditioning this season is elite. He's coming off a summer of early morning workouts and looks sharper than ever. Draymond is healthy, Al Horford adds experience, and Gary Payton III and DeAnthony Melton give this team the defensive edge that wins playoff series. The Warriors are playing chess, while the rest of the league plays checkers. And the narrative that this roster is too old completely ignores the balance that Golden State has struck. You've got Curry, Butler, and Draymond as your emotional and strategic anchors, guys who have been through every possible playoff scenario. And then you've got Kuminga, Podziemski, Moody, and Melton as the next generation learning from the best. That's not a team on the decline. That's a team being rebuilt the right way, from within. So let Cowherd talk. Let the headlines swirl about hypothetical trades. That's what the media does when they can't explain how this team keeps finding ways to stay relevant, how they keep reinventing themselves year after year. Because what we're watching right now is the Warriors quietly building something that could surprise the entire league. Look, no disrespect to Giannis. He's a 2-time MVP, a freak of nature, one of the most unstoppable forces in basketball. But the Warriors don't need to blow up their identity to chase another superstar. They already have what every contender dreams of: leadership, chemistry, and culture. Butler fits that culture perfectly. Kuminga is blossoming in it, and Curry is still the heart of it. So while everyone else debates fantasy trades, the Warriors are winning real games. They just beat the Lakers to open the season, and they'll host the Denver Nuggets next, another measuring stick matchup against the defending champs. If Kuminga keeps this up and Butler continues to anchor both ends of the floor, don't be surprised when Golden State starts climbing those Western standings faster than anyone expected. Because here's the truth, the dynasty isn't done, it's adapting. The names change, the critics get louder, but the spirit of this team never fades. Curry's not chasing relevance, he's chasing history. And with Butler's fire and Kuminga's growth, he just might find it one more time. What do you think, Dub Nation? Should the Warriors ever consider trading Jimmy Butler for Giannis, or is this team perfect as it is? Drop your thoughts in the comments, tell me your prediction for the Nuggets game, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us here at Warriors Nation News, because this season, the Bay is back on fire.